I'm Austin Prock, and this is The Skinny.
From the Fatheadz Eyewear Studio in Speedway, Indiana, this is The Skinny. Brought to you by Toyota and General Tire. This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by Toyota.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again to The Skinny. We have a great guest that will join us here today. Ken Stout and Rico Elmore in the house. Track Dude is back behind the controls. Michael Young. Great to have everybody back in here inside of the studio. A brisk day outside here in Indianapolis.
Brisk day, and you're running side saddle.
Running side saddle here. Yep.
Care to talk about your dedication to this show?
Well, when the boss calls and says, "Hey, I've got Austin Prock. He said he could come in today. How you feeling?" 4 days after you're off the surgery table from full knee replacement, I'm like, yeah, I'll make it, man. I don't know how, but I'll make it.
And Alice, your wife, was overly excited about us doing this.
Yeah, she said this is really a bad idea. I'm like,
so it worked out great.
I've exercised a number of those over the course of time and came out on the other end, so I'll give her another swing and see what happens.
See how it works out.
Austin Prock sitting alongside. He is the grandson of former NHRA driver Tom Prock. He is the son of NHRA championship winning crew chief Jimmy Prock, and now has a win of his own in Top Fuel, one of the I don't want to say few drivers anymore, but one of the special drivers that both licensed in Funny Car and Top Fuel. But didn't get a start there. Started off in dirt, man. Or no, it was midget. It was pavement midget racing you were doing, right? So you have been on the asphalt all along the way. But before we get into that whole racing thing, as you take a look here, clearly by the name of the show and by the two big boys you have here at the desk, we love food. And I believe you graduated from the culinary arts school. So you're a talented chef as well. And we've got a big kitchen up there.
Yeah, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. But had to go to school. Parents made me go to college after I got out of high school. I wanted to go straight on the road, but applied to a few business schools. Didn't do so hot in high school, so got popped out of those. And the next best option was culinary school. Get to cook for all my friends and family all the time, and love to entertain. It's one of my only hobbies when I'm not on the road racing.
That's pretty interesting. That stirs up a few questions right off the bat because your father is as intelligent as they come down the road, and you struggled in high school, so couldn't keep your attention. What was the struggle there? You clearly have it going on upstairs.
It was probably just a little bit of lack of effort. I pretty much showed up late and left early to go to the race shop. I live, eat, and breathe racing, and that's where my heart was, and that's where I spent all my time. And, you work hard at a young age, and it pays off early.
So you were truly one of those kids that as he finally figured out where he was growing up in the middle of a candy store. Your dad was in the middle of the biggest, most successful team, winning championships on a Top Fuel Funny Car, and everywhere you looked was just another thing of beauty.
Yeah, absolutely. I was lucky to, grow up in the family that I have and be surrounded by very intelligent people. Every way I looked, there was someone smart wanting to give me their advice, and, you got 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. So I listened up and, look at me now. So
did Dad lean on you about high school when you were struggling there? Was he? I'm sure he's trying to steer you as best he can, but you think about his gig, and he's on the road all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. More mom than him. Dad was on the road. He was focused on his race cars.
I'd be more scared of her.
I still am to this day. Yeah. She still scares the shit out of me, but they both pushed me, and they pushed me in the right direction, when time was due, and now I get to drive a Top Fuel dragster for a living.
Yeah, it's amazing. So Montana, back with you guys after a brief hiatus with the whole COVID thing and everything. How's that going?
It's going good. Frank Teagues, he re-signed with John Force Racing. He owns both the companies, Montana Brand and Rocky Mountain Twist. And, he wanted this car to be out there that whole time, but, COVID just set things back and put me sidelined for a little bit. But happy to have him back. He's a great person, and looking forward to racing with him this year.
Well, it seemed like you didn't miss a beat. You got in Clay's car when he was out for that race and damn near won it. At, was that Norwalk?
Yeah, Norwalk.
Yeah, Norwalk. So that was cool. And So what all does Montana do? What's their gig?
So Montana brand is like power tool accessory bits, countersinks, more woodworking things, drill bits, things like that. Rocky Mountain Twist is a high-end drill bit. Any Boeing airplane, when it gets built, it's drilled with a Montana brand drill bit. They're by far the nicest drill bit I used. I wouldn't just say that, just because they're funding my dream, but honestly, it's the best drill bit I've ever used. Got to use it even when I was working construction in COVID. Had the company I was working for go pick some up, and you could drill about 10 times as many holes with one.
That's wild. So tell us about your team. Joe Bartlam's over with you, which is awesome. I love Joe.
Yeah, we got Joe B and Ron Tobler. We pulled him out of retirement. Everyone thought it'd be real hard to reel him back in, but a quick phone call and he was on board. I was actually still in total shock to have someone of his legendary career, back in my team. So him and Joe are going to work great together. And I got two of my brothers working on the race car with me. My brother Thomas, he's going to be an engineer and do the clutch on my car on the weekends. Brother Sam's flying in for the first few to fill in. And the rest of the guys are just great family friends. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, so your one brother worked for Stuart Haas, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so he's doing the clutch now?
Yeah, so we just stole him back. He's going to be working in the shop during the week, designing parts and engineering things for us. And then on the weekend, he'll fly out, do the clutch on the car, and hopefully we'll end up in Victorine quite a bit.
That is awesome. And move back a little bit, what Stout talked about earlier. Who did you start midget racing with? Who I remember because I talked to your dad about it at the time.
Yeah, so I started my first full-size midget. We did a Ford Focus class, raced with Brad Knopfsinger and Wade Brown down in North Carolina. Did a few years there, and then we went out and bought our own national midget operation, and Tony Stewart allowed us to work out of his race shop there. So me and my brother, we've worked together our whole career since I started when I was 10 and he was 12. So for this whole deal to come back full circle and get to race together is pretty sweet.
How was SHR about losing him? Probably not excited.
Yeah, they weren't the fondest of it. They understood, racing with family is what it's all about, and they wanted him to stay, and it sounds like he'll have a job there anytime he needs to go back, if so. Yeah,
I know Tony spoke highly of him and, speaks highly of your family. And what a place to work out of when you're, running a midget. So that's not too bad of a place to run through.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Tony did a lot for us in our, our career circle track racing, and definitely couldn't have got as far as we did without his support. So all the kudos to him. And now I get to race with him on a professional level in drag cars. So pretty sweet.
What do you think of his team and all the this craziness he's brought into play?
I think it's good for the sport. For him to even manage to put a team together and how the world is right now, how hard it is to get materials and parts and things like that, that's an unbelievable story in itself. So I'm excited to see how it all pans out for him. I'm sure that both cars are going to run really well. You got Dickie Venables and Matt Hagan on one side, and you got Leah and Neil Strasbog. He's deserved a shot at tuning one of these things for a while, and he's got a great opportunity in front of him.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun.
26 years old, man. You have a wealth of knowledge in this sport. You're clearly switched on, man. A lot of jealous kids, by the way, too. You grow up, you're 10 years old, and you're already inside a Tony Stewart's shop running midgets. Everybody would dream of that, and to see you continue on and now be with Force, obviously, as you mentioned, the entire family involved there. But, man, just a huge opportunity. But that opportunity isn't given to you because you're a proc. I'm sure that opportunity had to be earned.
Absolutely. Like I said earlier, I've worked my whole entire life to get to this point, and I finally achieved that in 2019. And when, the pandemic hit and it gets stripped away from you, it hurts. I was depressed there for a while, and, it definitely built character, and everything happens for a reason, and just happy to be back and living my dream again.
I think we had the conversation, right?
Yeah.
We had that conversation. I told him, I said, it's all about timing, man.
Yep.
It'll come when it's supposed to. And at your age, I always mention this and talk about this. There's a lot of people that can be 26 that act 18, and there's some people that are 26 that can act 36. And, it's a lot of times around the people that you work with and that you're involved with. And for you to be racing, for JFR, there's probably nobody else harder in the paddock, if you will, in the pits harder to get a ride or to run with. I mean, it's all family that runs his cars. Daughters, always daughters.
Yep.
You know, was son-in-law, but you know, Robert's still the family. But and then him, and now you. You know, again, and so it says a lot for what you've done and what he thinks of you, because I don't think by any means there's any gifts that come out of that South Point Circle building.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, you know, you couldn't dream of a better opportunity, and I'm blessed to be in this position. You know, we have the best funding, we have the best parts and pieces, and the best personnel in there, you know, and to add my crew chief lineup to that brain trust over there, as Forrest calls it, you know, I think it's going to be a great year for the company.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and to really go off of what you said there, Rico, I don't know that the general fans, they always see John Forrest in his interviews, and everybody loves him, the high energy and the enthusiasm, the passion that he has for the sport and has maintained for an unbelievable amount of time. But what they don't see is the behind-the-scenes John Forrest, and to have the team that he has and to have the success that he has, the size of it, the sponsors that you were talking about, well-funded team, that is from relentless pursuit of chasing that dream. And there's nobody that works any harder. And with that said, once you get to that level, there's absolutely no excuses. And there's no room for anything other than excellence. I mean, he expects the absolute best because he's going to put you in the best situation. And with that comes a lot of tense moments, I'm sure. I mean, do you feel that from him? Or are there times where he comes up to you and says, you know, we did all of this stuff here, you need to perform?
Yeah, I think, you know, I just expect that out of it. You know, you have the best parts and pieces, so there's no reason I shouldn't go up there and do the absolute best and be the best driver I can be. So I kind of carry that pressure on myself. You know, he comes up and gives me his wild pep talks before I get in the car, but I'm already focused by then, and it's in one ear, out the other, you know, and back to business. But, you know, I expect that pressure from him. He doesn't have to put that on me himself, and hopefully I'll make him proud again this year.
I always say there's one common denominator across all platforms of motorsports, and that's quickness. I think the really good drivers, no matter what the discipline is, are extremely quick. Their hand-eye coordination is very good, and their hands are very quick. They speak quickly. Everything about them is quick, and you clearly are a fast talker. You're just one of those people, you're thinking quick. Everything happens very, very fast, which is a norm for you. And I go down this path because your reaction times, you know, are clearly one of the best in the field. I wish I'd had time. I didn't know you were coming in literally till an hour before, but I would have looked up the
You've
stats.
You've been doing nothing but laying around.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, you could have probably got something done in that time.
But if you're not the best in the class, you have to be top 3?
Yeah, in 19, my rookie season, I did end up leading the class off the starting line. And since then, everyone's really picked up their game quite a bit. Langdon, he was an animal last year on the starting line. So I'm going to have to pick it up a little bit, but no doubt in my mind I'll be right there in the top of the hunt. Yeah,
and one of those elements that it's always important. Everybody understands that reaction time is important, but I don't know if it was stressed as much as it now is emphasized inside of your category.
Yeah, it's going to be even closer this year, you know, because I feel like all the driver crew chief combos have kind of caught up to each other. So the cars are going to be running quicker and closer to each other. So it's even going to be more cutthroat up on the starting line. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw, you know, a low 40 or high 30 average out of one of the drivers this year, because you're going to have to be that quick up there if you want to go rounds on Sunday.
So, and let's talk about that process for a second. I think it's important to analyze it. Michael wants to go to a break. You want to take a quick break here, Michael? We'll come back on the other side. I've got a great question for him in regards to reaction time. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more from the young gun, Austin Prock.
This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by General Tire. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire. General Tire's Grabber X3 Mud Terrain tire offers aggressive styling and is engineered for durability with innovative performance features that are ready to carry you through extreme mud, dirt, and rock-covered terrain. For extreme traction that's ready for anything and rugged styling to match, look no further than the Grabber X3. Make your anywhere possible by visiting GeneralTire.com today.
Welcome back to the Skinny. We have young gun Austin Prock inside of the studio with us here today. We'll be inside of his race car. Actually, the day you see this show, he'll start testing there in Phoenix. So we wish him the best of luck there. But we were talking about reaction times, and the numbers you just threw out as an average in the 30s or 40s, mind-boggling to me. I remember when a 70 was a psychic, reaction time and fuel. But I would love to talk. I'd love to talk to your father, as I'm sure he's analyzed every split second of this, but the time that it takes for you to see that light, move your foot, you have to physically move the pedal, and the linkage has to open up. It has to obviously send fuel and make power. It has to then wrinkle up that huge rear tire before any of that, and before the car even thinks about moving, and you're talking about an average of 0.3 seconds.
Yeah, it's, the cars they've become reacting quicker. The crew chiefs obviously work on that area of the car because the quicker it reacts, the quicker 60 foot you get. So, those cars that have a lower 60 foot, when they're dabbling in the 810s, 812s, that thing's reacting really good. So, it's just it's just all added up from the driver being quicker to the car being quicker, the whole 9 yards. And, when I started in 2019, I think that average the year before was like probably like a low 60 or something, mid 60. And when I went into that class, I dropped it down to an 058 was my average. And we didn't get very many attempts at it either. A car didn't run all that well. So that could have helped my situation or made it worse. The more shots you got at it, I could have stumbled. But, it's just a cutthroat category right now. And I'm looking forward to this season.
Yeah, and I need to fix a mistake I just made in that description when I was going through all that. I said 0.3 of a second. We're talking about 0.03 of a second. You said 30s and 40s, 30 thousandths of a second, 40 thousandths of a second. So, yeah, not 0.3. You're out to lunch, baby. You throw tenths up on the board there, and you roll her in the box.
That's called a guess.
Yeah.
So you've got so now you have Alan Johnson going over to Coletta's with all of his stuff, which that could be pretty wild.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to racing those cars over there this year. I love racing Dougie and Langdon because you got to bring your A game when you race those guys. And the past few years, they haven't really had the car under them that they deserve, and they're going to get that this year. So I'm looking forward to racing them. Me and Dougie, we go back because we kind of came up the same way, racing circle tracks, sprint cars, midgets, things like that. So on the to-do this year, I don't want to be smoking the tires much, but I do want to race Dougie in a pedal fest and finally get him on that one.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I always talk about Coletta's. We were, I think Stuart was on and we were talking about it, but we were talking about when, you would roll into Anderson Speedway way back in the day, and nobody had the big haulers. Nobody had the 18-wheelers, the stackers, any of that. Coletta did.
Yeah.
And it was one of the old drag trailers, right, with the elevator on the back. And it was, like I said, I remember it very vividly. All black, gold leaf on the back top corners, Coletta.
Yeah.
And that's all it needed to say. That dude would come out and just wear people out and get back in his stuff and leave.
Yeah.
It was
just old school.
Yeah. And it's he's down to business, get it done, and he's out of there. So, but yeah, he was, it is awesome watching you come through that progression. I guess I don't really know of any open wheel other guys that, not that I can think of.
Nothing really comes to mind. I agree.
John Andretti for a little bit, but never full time really.
Hey, let's go back a little bit and talk about the midgets. I'd love to know the thought process and the conversation that was had, the initial conversation between you and your family to say, I want to go racing, but I want to go on a midget, not necessarily a drag car, or was it just a general conversation? Did you start off in karts and you're like, oh, let's the natural progression was to go up to midgets. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I started out in quarter midgets, which it wasn't too much of a shock to the family. My great-grandfather, Jimmy Prock as well, he grew up racing midgets and was a ride-on mechanic on Indy cars in the 30s and 40s. So we still have a little bit of circle track in our blood. You know, and when we moved to Brownsburg, our neighbor actually had quarter midgets, and I wanted to go racing, but I didn't want anything to do with junior drags. I didn't like the bracket racing deal. I like heads-up racing and didn't want anything to do with it. So they allowed me to go out, and I tested their quarter midget, fell in love, and a few days later, I convinced my dad to get me one. And the rule is if I got one, me and my brother, we had to do all the work on it. You know, I had to learn me and Thomas learned how to set them up, change our oil, clean our tires at 10 and 12 years old. And, you know, we'd load it all in the trailer, and my mom would hop in the pickup and drive us to the track. And it was just me, mom, and my brother. And we did it all on our own. You know, everyone else our age was out, you know, playing football or playing catch or something in between races while their parents were servicing their carts. And me and Thomas, we were there doing it all on our own. And you know, we just kind of got thrown to the wolves and learned as we went, and that was some of the best knowledge we've ever gained.
I know Dad doesn't have any spare minutes, but wouldn't you think that lurking in the background, Dad would think just the engineering side of it would tweak him just a little bit, like, oh, let's do this. It'll be kind of fun. But It literally sounds like he just said, you guys go have fun at it.
Yeah, you know, and a majority of the time we were on our own, but, you know, he got to fly home during the week, so when we had him in the garage or whatever, he'd come out and help tinker on him, and we were always innovative. You know, we were always trying something new. We were cutting bars out of the chassis and moving them and building steel, like solid steel left side nerfs for left side weight, which probably was illegal, and trying different wheel sizes. We were always trying to find that new edge, you know, because it was a new learning curve for him as well as it was for me and my brother. So we had a lot of fun doing it. We even we got Rick Warner, championship winning crew chief. We got his son Drew into quarter midget. So between Ricky and my dad and all us boys, we had all kinds of wazoo on these things.
Yeah, so that's a cool story, and talk about a way to grow up. That's a way to grow up, because it's not everybody gets a trophy in that gig.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you want to become a professional racer one day, you got to start young, and you got to learn it all. You know, my dad told me at a young age, you know, he said the more you know about this race car, the better race car driver you are going to be. And you know, I thought he was blowing smoke up my butt there for a while, but you know, once you grow up and get some intelligence in you, you finally learn he was right that whole time.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning too that you were successful in the midget. You won a championship.
Yeah, 2014 we won a pavement midget championship, and you know, I loved racing that car. I wish I could have kept it. You know, I wish our finances were a little different back then, where I could still have that, you know, in my pocket. But loved that car, and I just loved pavement midget racing. If I could ever get in one again, I wouldn't blink an eye.
So talk to me about the transition from the midget to you went to Frank Hawley School. Is that correct? In a super comp car. Is that
yeah?
Is that correct? So yeah, you made that transition from midgets to drag racing. What spawned that? How did that come about?
So 2016, it was the off season, and I had actually just purchased a World of Outlaw operation. I was going to go wing sprint car racing, and Forrest called me that winter and said, "Hey," he said, "You want to go drag racing?" And I'm like, well, if John Force is calling you to go drag racing,
pretty hard.
You better listen.
Yeah, right.
So the deal was, he's like,
no, I'm thinking I'm good over here, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna go lose every dime. I'm gonna go lose every dime I have in outlaw racing.
You have fun, man. I've got this car. It's got this big wing on it. I'm good over here. I'm good.
Yeah. So I started listening, and he said, if you want to drive one of these cars one of these days, he said, come work on my daughter's cars for a couple years, and we'll start training you, and you're gonna take my spot. That was the plan at the time. Time still hasn't come, but you know,
no, but he did get a good mechanic out of it. That's what I'm thinking. He was thinking.
I told Stuart that he's still got he's got plenty of life in him. I mean, 20 years. You know.
Yeah.
Forrest is thinking, if I can drum up another crew chief like Jimmy, I'm good here. So let me get him going down that path.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I worked on his daughter's cars in 2017 on Courtney's, 2018 on Brittany's, and in the middle of 2017, I was off going to Frank Hawley's. I got my Super Comp Dragster license, Super Gas, Nostalgia Funny Car, Alcohol Funny Car, A-Fuel Dragster, all this in one crash course of a year, along with beating up and down the road, working on Courtney's car. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of better get there and do the best you can because you only got 2 days to get your license. So better have your head on straight. And 2018 start of the year, working on Brittany Force's Monster Energy Dragster, and went to Las Vegas. We usually test the Monday after, and they threw me in the funny car, and it was the best day of my life.
That's got to be wild. Were you expecting it?
I knew it was coming that year, but I didn't really know when, and then you finally get the news, and I'm over there Sunday night after, everyone's loaded up. We pulled the car back out, threw my seat insert in there, got all fitted, seatbelt changes, all the safety equipment dialed in, and went up there Monday morning, and man, it was wild. Everybody and their brother was up there to see me fail,
Did you have your fire suit and helmet?
Oh, yeah, I had it all ready to go.
Yep, every real driver, man, they don't go to
I just
racetrack without
I just happen to have that in the hauler.
Yeah.
Give me one second.
So it was wild, and, we go up there, and I was nervous to begin with, just even driving one of these things. The quickest thing I ever drove was A-Fuel Dragster, which has like 3,000 horsepower, and then you're going into 11,000 horsepower funny car, and the track temp's like 85 degrees, and we're going up there to run like 384 back in the laid-back header days. And go up there, do the burnout, back up, everything's sweet. Stage this thing, Christmas tree don't come down. I'm just sitting there, and I don't know what's going on because, I don't know if, there's a leak and they're going to shut me off or, what.
Right.
So I'm just
You're
sitting
just
there.
sitting there.
And all of a sudden, Brian Karate gets on the radio, and he goes, "Go!" Scared the crap out of me, and I drove the throttle, drove it to about 300 feet, straight as an arrow, and lifted. That was all we planned on doing, but if they would have let me, I would have drove that thing all the way to the lights. It was the best feeling in the world. And what sucks, too, is, when you get to the 330 clock in a funny car, that's right when the clutch is starting to really kick in.
Starting to
I
pull
just started to feel it set me back in the seat, and it's, and you're like, oh, man, that was getting me going,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Vegas, but that's the first place that Stewart ran too.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I got a text at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I did something.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, what was that? And he sent me the slip. I was like, you're an animal. But
well, that's awesome, man. That's a great story. Great story, and so much success after that. I mean, clearly fell right into the seat, very comfortable. Did it ever rattle you? Has your brain always been? Take you a minute to get up to speed?
I mean, they're always quick. When I get in this thing this Thursday, I mean, I'm going to be behind it for a little bit, especially if we're really sending it, if the track's cool. But yeah, you're behind it, but if you look out far enough in the track and like Danny and Karate told me before I got in this thing, because I was nervous if I was going to be able to even do it. Not very many people can drive these race cars to a extreme level, and they're like, you either got it or you don't. And I just kept that in my head and, did the best I could, tried to keep it between the header flames, and it's all good from there.
Excellent job. Young driver for John Force Racing with us here today, Austin Prock. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on the other side. This segment of The Skinny is brought to you by Toyota. We're back here on The Skinny. Austin Prock in the studio with us on a brisk day here in Indianapolis. Speedway, Indiana, that is. We've got about 5-6 inches of snow out there. It's been, it was kind of cold there last Thursday or so. Actually, when I had the surgery done, came out to a nice snow blizzard, and it's been beautiful ever since, sunny-wise. But
it's a great idea. Maybe you could have busted your ass coming out of there.
I might have and don't remember it. Much like this show, I don't know how much of it I'm going to remember.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. There you go, kids. Just say no.
So Austin Prock in the house with us, obviously geeked up and ready to go here. 2022, man, full slate in front of you. Let's talk about what's coming at you.
A lot of good competition, but we're going to be bringing the heat. We got a good team with Montana Brandon, Rocky Mountain Twist, great crew chief lineup, and great people to work with as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. I just can't wait to stand on the gas on Thursday. We're going to flog this thing for 3 days, and we'll be all ready to go for Pomona here shortly.
But I got to ask. I got to go back to what he said. It took him a while to catch up, or it'll take him a while to catch up. You got in Clay Milliken's car, and it took you no time to catch up. So let's go back a little bit here. Stringer, who I love to death, is a great friend. Clay as well. You step into the car. That operation and the way Stringer runs it, it is literally on a string. I mean, it is. They kind of tell us some of the process of what they go through, which isn't a secret, between rounds versus kind of what you guys do.
Yeah, they run that operation totally different, and it was very enjoyable to go there and race with those guys and see what you can do in this sport, with minimal parts or pieces. Everyone over there works really hard, probably even harder than most teams, because you're servicing parts in between rounds and things, and what they do with what they have is very impressive. That car ran great that weekend. I was in it and continued on. I felt like that was almost the turning point for that car last year. After I got done running it consistently went up and down the track quick. And I really appreciate what they do for the sport and how well they run on what they do. It was a great opportunity to work with them and learn from everyone over there, Doug and Mike Klober and Clay. It was a great deal, and had to go out there and shine because that was kind of a make or break it moment for my career, I feel like.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, if there was anybody not rooting for you, they were not very good people, because it was definitely the underdog program coming in and not being not being in the car for a while. And I mean, you didn't miss a beat. I mean, Stout. So so the whole gist of it is, and correct me if I'm wrong anywhere here, but most of the time, they take the heads off, and usually another set goes on, headers usually mounted and everything. They actually rebuild the heads between rounds.
Yeah.
On every round. So, I mean, that is that in itself, how intense that is, because one, it's a quick turnaround, but two, you can't make any mistakes there. And there's a lot of pieces and parts that go back into all of that. And so that's what amazes me with Doug's program and what they put together there. Now, when you were at your hiatus, if you will, stayed at JFR, and we're doing blowers.
Yeah.
Right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so going into last year, I obviously got the call, wasn't racing again that season, so second year out, and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? And they gave me an opportunity to go work on my old man's car with Robert Height driving, and got to build the superchargers. I've worked on superchargers before in 2018 on Alan Johnson's car, but that was a AJ blower with Darren Mayer rotors, totally different combination from what John Force Racing builds in-house. We build almost all of our parts in-house, and we build that blower from start to finish, end frames, rotors, cases, gears, you name it, every piece that goes into that thing. So when I got in there, it was a whole new learning curve, and that was still, we were kind of like phasing out of the COVID layoffs and things like that. So there wasn't very many people in there to teach me. So I had to kind of take myself under my own wing and just, guess how this went and that went and put my own twist on it, and ended up building one of the best blowers that's ever been pumped out of that shop. Threw it on the dyno, and we zinged this thing, and it went off the page on RacePack. And my dad looks back at me and he goes, "Nice job, Austin." And he's never told me like good job before. And like that moment is like instilled in my head. It was like one of the coolest days of my life. Yeah. And after that, I was hungry to figure out why that supercharger was so good. So we started going through the other 3 superchargers he had, and we chased it all year long, just trying to figure out all these little things that add up to make more boost, mo boost, mo betta.
Yeah, right, right.
So we chased that all year, and it was really fun working hands-on with my dad, and I learned a lot out of the deal. It was not what I wanted to be doing, but we made the best out of it. I'm more knowledgeable about the superchargers now and about, even just being a team player on a team, how to help manage a team, all those things. So I'm looking forward to bringing all that over to my own team this year.
Get to drive cross country instead of fly cross country, right?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, what's funny is I told this to Brian Loans earlier today, but all last year, all I wanted to do was fly to the races, because that meant I was back driving. And this year, yesterday when the trucks left, all I wanted to do was be in those trucks and driving it out to the track. I didn't want to see my baby go. It was almost a bittersweet moment. So it's crazy how a year things can change your mind. But I'm really looking forward to getting to the racetrack tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, incredible stuff. I mean, it is super cool working with your father like that and making those memories like that. You mentioned it before. Your father said the more you know about it, the better off you're going to be. I'm curious, how involved are you at looking at the data acquisition after the run? Typically, the crew chief will look at it and analyze it and make some suggestions. Are you hands-on in that?
Yeah, so now that I'm back to driving, every time we get back to the pit, we'll get the car up on jack stands, and I'll run up to the crew chief lounge and just debrief with them. Typically, I try and tell them what I felt before they pull the computer up, just to see how good I felt the race car, because that gives me a better mindset of like when the car's getting in trouble, how to pedal it and how to recover it if you need to on Sunday, to get a round win. So I'm pretty hands-on up in there. I definitely couldn't make the decisions nor want to make the decisions up on the starting line, but I can look at all the squiggly lines and kind of have an idea of what's good, what's bad.
Yeah, it's super cool. And we had Stuart in here, and he was talking about listening to Leah and listening to Matt Hagan and how they can analyze every little, hundredth of a second inside of the car, what it's doing, and picking up the left front tire and, wrinkling the tire, whatever it's doing. And I'm sure whenever you said you'll be behind it a little bit, but once you get caught up to it, you're able to do the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. In 2019, I won plenty of rounds in Pedal Fest. I kind of prided my circle track days, as a benefit, in this top fuel category. So definitely hate when it smokes tires, but love to see how quick I can catch it and get it to hook back up and go down the racetrack. So I actually won my first ever round of competition in a Pedal Fest in Pomona. It was only my, I think, 6th run in a top fuel dragster. Things shook off the starting line, got it to recover, and went down there to get my first career round win.
So what is your psyche? What's your thought process? Because the throw on the throttle is so short, it's pretty much open or closed. Do you physically think, I got to squeeze on this thing so I can try to get it hooked up?
Yeah, I mean, like a sprint car, it's got 1,000 horsepower and it's hard to hook up. So imagine 11,000 with a short throw pedal. But the trick is really to catch it before it gets in trouble. That you got a lot of sidewall on these cars, and it's a little bit harder in the dragster because you got about 6 feet from the rear end, where the funny car, you're sitting right on top of it. But you just gotta know that feel for the sidewall, and it'll give you a signal and kind of bite you right in the ass to tell you to get off the gas. And you're making those decisions in thousandths of a second. So it's really fun to try and control that beast.
And knowing you're only going to get better. You have little to no experience. I mean, limited experience, relatively speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. The seat time, that's everything in a motorsport like this, so in any motorsport. So looking forward to going another full season, and hopefully it pans out well for us.
You guys doing just going this year with these guys and seeing how things go, and then
yeah. So this deal's a one year contract for now. We just got to go out there and show out and get everyone's attention, and hopefully we can keep this train rolling.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you were talking about Tony listening to Leah or Matt or whatever, but Antron, when he was in here talking about it, he was talking about the whole run. And he's like, there it is, I'm at this, and it's standing up on the tires, and oh, hold on a minute, what is that? It was just, and to think that that your mind is, and that was one of the things that Tony was talking about was, when he first went, he was like, hell, I was still sitting at the starting line trying to figure out what just happened.
Yeah.
And I was at the end of the track,
They could ask me what happened. I'd tell them, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hop out of one of these things at the top end, and, it's 3.6 second run, and you can go on and talk about it for 30 minutes about each and every little feeling you felt.
Right.
You can talk about it like it was an eternity long, and, it's just one of the coolest things about this sport. Get your adrenaline going through the roof, and your mind does weird things.
So do they have any rankings out yet?
Like a power ranking or anything?
Yeah.
No, but I'm sure I'm at the top of the list.
Attaboy.
I like that. My man.
Let's just go with that.
Yeah, right.
That's great stuff, man. So looking forward to the test. When's the first race date?
It's the following week. So we test this weekend, and it's the following weekend. I don't know any dates. We've been thrashing for the last 3-4 weeks.
17th,
So.
right? 17th in Pomona, is that right?
Yeah,
I
it
think
sounds
it's
about
something
right.
like that.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, you guys are going to go thrash for 3 days, tear up a bunch of parts, and then have to be race ready the following weekend.
Yeah, this the start of the year test or spring training as they call it. It's always brutal on the crew guys. So I'm going to be out there. I'm actually going to stay on the road from Phoenix test to Pomona and back to Phoenix just to help get things done, help organize things. Even if it's down to the smallest things, grabbing the guys lunch. Just being out there and being a part of the team and gaining their respect.
Yeah, that means a lot. And we had this discussion the other day, not on air, but we're trying to figure out, do you think anybody that sanctions these races, I won't get into a name, do you think they own a map? Because we go to Pomona, then we go to Phoenix, and then we go to Gainesville, then we go back to Vegas. It's like, and then we go from Vegas to Houston. It's like
A lot of hours on the road, that's for sure.
Dude, and
Been there, done that.
Yeah. A lot of money. It's a lot of money for every
hell,
race
I
team.
did it almost all of last year before I roped Chad into coming in and feeling like it was a good idea for him. So, but yeah, it's a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of things going on, and it's just a wild deal. And I mean, I'm excited to see you back out there, dude. I think the conversation that we had and that we talked about was, J.R. Todd, when J.R. was, J.R. came into the program, man, he was, driving for Dexter Tuttle, in the Torco car, and was putting it on people like nobody's business. And, then went to Lucas's program after that, and and kind of had a little bit of a setback and worked his way back into it. And again, it was all about timing. And I remember texting him after he won the championship, and I said, "This is what you were waiting on, or this is what was waiting on you, So it's all the same to you, man, and wish you the best of luck."
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, great to have you in the studio. Great to meet you and see some of the personality. Man, so switched on. You are definitely wise beyond your years. 26 years old. You got a great run at it. Great team, great car. Certainly very capable. I expect you to be right in the thick of it, man.
Yep. I plan on doing the same, and can't wait to get going.
Ladies and gentlemen, Austin Prock here will be driving for John Force Racing here. Keep your eyes on him in 2022. He is hungry for a championship. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us here on The Skinny. This episode has been brought to you by Toyota and General Tire. For the latest in sunglasses, optical frames, accessories, and apparel, be sure to check out Fatheadz.com. That's Fatheadz with a Z. Production facilities provided by Fatheadz Eyewear Studios. All rights reserved.